Here's your creative 800-word piece. Aaron Taylor Johnson's upcoming horror movie is bad news for his Bond 26. If you're still holding on to hopes that Aaron Taylor Johnson will become the next James Bond, Robert Eggers' upcoming werewolf epic Werewolf just might throw cold water on your dreams. Slated for a theatrical release on December 25, 2026, this medieval horror film reunites Taylor Johnson with his Nosferatu co-star Lily Rose Depp and director Robert Eggers. On paper, Werewolf is everything fans of atmospheric, art house horror could ask for. A 13th century setting, meticulously authentic Old English dialogue, pagan-era werewolf mythology, and Eggers' penchant for psychological dread. The director has described it as the darkest thing he's ever written by far. The Bond problem. But here's the rub. Werewolf demands a commitment that cuts straight into Taylor Johnson's availability, both in filming and in public perception. It's not just the long hours buried in prosthetics and period sets. It's the weight of being anchored to one of horror's most ambitious auteur projects for years. Contrast that with the James Bond franchise, where actors historically commit to multiple films over several years, often becoming the face of MI6 for a decade or more. While some Bonds like George Lazenby and David Niven only made one outing, recent stars, Craig, Brosnan, Moore, Connery, stretched across multiple entries. Even if Taylor Johnson's character in 28 Years Later, premiering June 20, 2025, were to be written out early, his other commitments, Craven the Hunter's titular role, and now Eggers' Werewolf, could make future leading man scheduling difficult, or even impossible. From vampires to werewolves. Remember, Taylor Johnson recently starred in Nosferatu, released December 2024, Eggers' stylistic resurrection of the vampire myth. Now the same filmmaker assigns him the role of a medieval werewolf warrior, an evolution from gothic claws to werewolf claws. Lily Rose Depp is reportedly cast as his wife, reinforcing the Survivor Sternet stars' narrative from their Nosferatu pairing. Eggers' collaborator this time is the poet-screenwriter S.J.O.N., who co-wrote The Northman 2022. Together, they dive into folklore, Viking berserkers, Anglo-Saxon legends like Bysclaverit, and classic lycanthropic curses, to give werewolf roots in real mythic tradition. Expect blood, atmosphere, and a brutal physicality unlike anything in mainstream horror recently. Craven is a red flag. Taylor Johnson also stars as Sergei Kravinoff in Craven the Hunter 2024, a Marvel/Sony Spider-Man universe film that performed poorly, grossing $62 million against a budget north of $110 million, and was widely panned by critics. While box office flops don't automatically disqualify someone from Bond, the critical response mixed with poor financial returns hardly boosts his odds. Audibly, critics and fans have already drawn associations between his upcoming werewolf role and Craven's human-animal hybrid misfire, suggesting that this time the beast might just bite back in audience expectations. Time is the enemy. Let's assume Taylor Johnson could hypothetically juggle werewolf filming, likely starting September 2025, a 28 Years Later trilogy first film summer 2025, sequel The Bone Temple in January 2026, and potential Craven follow-ups. That's 3 separate franchises, each with their own time sink and press obligations. Picture this: international press junkets, promotional tours, post-production dubbing, returns for trailers and premieres. Bond, if offered, would require its own schedule. Realistically, studios want availability, and franchise fatigue is real. Taking on one major series is time-consuming. 3 simultaneously? Risky business. Performance versus prestige. But what about performances? Werewolf has the aura of an actor's prestige project, a vehicle for deep character work, period immersion, and genre-defining visuals. If done right, it's the kind of film that boosts an actor's reputation far beyond a studio action franchise.